This is the Wealthy Wednesday Show with your host, Luci McMonagle, a money manifestor, coach, and public speaker who's on a mission to helping you create more wealth in your life and business. This show will inspire and empower you with various topics and has expert guests. Let's welcome your host, Luci McMonagle.
Welcome to the Wealthy Wednesday Show. This is your host, Luci McMonagle. I'm so incredibly excited. We have an incredible lady who's going to help you find the right man if you are looking, or maybe you might know some of your friends that are looking. Her name is Antia Boyd, and she has struggled for years with loneliness, sadness, and wasting time before she finally broke through and hired a dating coach. Now, she had great success with her dating coach and relationships and met her handsome, loving, and supportive husband, Brody. She has now been helping single women all around the world to find the right man to share their life with and be happier ASAP, like right now, without bad judgment, without depression, and without anxiety. So for over 10 plus years, she has the expertise that you need in order to really find the right man, and so that you can break through the barriers that you've been looking for on finding this. She has studied personality psychology at UC Berkeley and has spoken on stages and radio shows all over the United States for over a decade, and she has studied everything that she could get her hands on in the areas of men, dating, attraction, and an amazing relationship quickly without having any fear. So let's give a warm welcome to Antia for being here. Welcome to the Wealthy Wednesday Show.
Thank you so much, Luci. Thank you for having me.
Wow, Antia, you were struggling for years with this loneliness, with the sadness, with the wasting all of this time, and you really turned that around by hiring your own dating coach. But now you have really learned such the deep techniques that you've had success teaching women who are looking how to find the right man so that they can move forward. Can you tell us, there as successful women entrepreneurs that are listening to the show, what are some of the blind spots that they might have if they're looking for an individual to have a relationship with?
Yeah, so what I oftentimes see, Luci, is that those successful entrepreneurial women, there's when they go into something that's a little bit more vulnerable, or, it starts to feel a little like awkward or something. So there's like some emotional charge around being single or dating the same guy over and over again, that they laugh, right? So I see a lot of times wanting to release that, that tension inside of them that they have, right? And the challenge is that if they do that, that means they're sending mixed signals. Because if you're in reality sad and vulnerable, but then you're kind of making light of it, and you're actually taking, you're not taking yourself serious, and you're not respecting your own emotions, then you tend to attract emotionally unavailable men who are also not very respectful of their own emotions, right? They either don't feel comfortable connecting with their own emotions, and then they're certainly also not comfortable with connecting with your emotions and actually responding to them appropriately.
Wow. So can you explain a little bit more deeply on if you're not really feeling your own emotions, if you're not really being truthful with yourself, then you're creating this attraction to individuals who are emotionally unavailable, or they're commitment phobic maybe. Can you dive just a little bit deeper on how does a woman actually find these blind spots that she's not aware of?
Yeah, well, how does she find them, right? So that's why I needed a mentor for myself, because I give you the indications that you know that you have blind spots. You keep attracting men who promise you one thing, or they look a certain way in the beginning, like they have a certain characteristics, and they seem like the Prince Charming that's riding on the white horse. And then just like a few weeks or sometimes months in, out of the sudden they change, right? Out of the sudden their communication becomes inconsistent, right? Or they don't keep their agreements anymore, right? Or like a different part of them shows up. That's a very good indication that you're not honest with yourself, because they were not honest up front with their emotions and actually very incongruent with them. That's the direct reflection of your own incongruence and lack of alignment of yourself and your own emotions with yourself.
Wow.
So that's a very good indicator.
Yeah, that is an extremely good indicator. And, a lot of women entrepreneurs, they're so used to being in control. They love their business. They have the polarity that they like to be able to be in control of everything that they're doing. And, for dating, how does this polarity that these women have as a woman entrepreneur that are successful, how does that really translate when they're dating?
Oh boy. So what I see so often, I meet those successful entrepreneurial women, and who they're attracting is men who we consider to be feminine, right? And with feminine means they're much more intimate with their own emotions. They have less structure. So they go more with, we'll see where we land, right? And so that causes a lack of trust inside of the woman, because she's like, wait, if my man doesn't hold the structure for me, then I have to take on the structure, right? Mm-hmm. So now I have to become even more, quote unquote, masculine, which is being more structured, right? Being more focused on logistics versus on my emotions, because my man is focused on his emotions, right? And somebody has to steer the ship, yes. Right? Float around, right? So that's a huge challenge, because it's a perpetual pattern, right? So like they keep meeting feminine men, and then it keeps like reiterating their belief that, yes, like I need to run the ship and I can't rely on men, and I don't have a man. I get this all the time. I don't feel supported. I don't feel like the man has my back. I don't feel like I have a shoulder to lean on, right? So that's the challenge, right? So the challenge is that, that basically they have to do the first step to step into their feminine. Because what I get all the time too, Luci, it's like, oh, when the right man comes, like I will be in my feminine. Like I will be safe to be in my feminine, right? Versus taking on the responsibility and saying, you kind of have to take the first step yourself, because you always would attract who you're being. So if you're the masculine, you're like, you know what? Next time I'm going to attract a man who's in his masculine and allows me to be feminine. It doesn't work that way, right? And that's a huge blind spot I see from women all the time, wanting the man to go first, or the universe to magically align, without them having to make themselves vulnerable first.
Mm-hmm. And how does a woman start making herself vulnerable first to herself before she starts stepping out into the dating realm?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about, number one is trusting her emotions. So what I see a lot is like, women come to me and they say, well, my emotions told me to go on this date, but then my mind was like, it's like a guy, like, this guy reminds me of this person or that person. And so the first step is to trust your emotions, which can be very scary, right? I get that. But that's the willingness to have that courage to step outside of what you perceive yourself as being safe, right? Because that's why women do that, because they feel safe, taking care of themselves, being independent, right? Versus like allowing a man to take care of you and putting yourself into a space. See, that's what I always say over and over again. Those women don't put themselves into a situation where they could even feel vulnerable, where they could even be perceived as vulnerable, right? So not that they're being taken advantage of, but they're not even putting themselves in a position where they could be taken advantage of, right? Because they're so afraid of that, they're so resisting that. right? So I always invite them to really step into that space of where they can be taken, where a man can actually lead, right? And maybe say, you know what? Yeah, I can carry up my groceries up to my house, but I would love to feel supported and for you to do that.
Wow. Wow. And that sounds like when you ask for what you want, it becomes a little more easier for you to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And starting with something as small as, yes, I can carry my own groceries, but will you do it for me?
Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah. And it's really about like trusting their own emotions, right? And just really feeling, where do I feel my emotions? I mean, so many of those women are so headstrong that they don't even know what they're feeling. They need to think about what they're feeling, right? So another thing I would tell them, try to locate, first of all, what are you feeling, to determine what are you feeling, what's the emotion, is it guilt, is it shame, is it sadness? And then also as the next step, where am I feeling that? Right? So that's been a challenge for me, and I'm working on that vulnerability, like where am I feeling that, and make that a daily practice. Am I really angry right now, or actually is there a sadness behind that I don't want to go into because I'm this strong, independent woman, right? And I can't break down because I don't know myself to be that way, and I don't know how I would get out of it once I'm done crying.
Wow, that's really powerful. And can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey and what has gotten you to where you are now?
Yeah. Well, Lucy, so I grew up in an emotionally absent household, so that's why I'm really passionate about emotions, right? And my mom would not tell me I love you. She would not give me a hug. And as a matter of fact, every time when I was like trying to crawl into her bed when I was like 18 months old, she would just tell me, don't bother me, right? And so I just like learned to, I unlearned like connecting with my emotions because it wasn't safe. And there was no point because my emotions weren't met. So what's the point, right? So I just like really kind of became like this shell, right? I just closed up like a shell and became very independent at a very young age. Did grocery shopping by myself by the time I was 8 years old, and pride myself in that. It wasn't even something that I thought was wrong. Right now, it would be like, if I see an 8-year-old alone in the grocery store, I'm like, what is wrong with that picture? That is not right, right? But I didn't see it that way at all. And as you can imagine, as a reflection, because I closed up, I attracted a lot of emotionally unavailable men who were also very closed up and just said, I can't love, I've been hurt too much. I don't even know if I'm capable of love. So that's what I heard from men that I was dating, that they wanted to love, but they just couldn't, right? Or they were sabotaging the relationship. They're making promises. And then, so I was like riding sky high, and so excited about what he promised, right? And then only to be just crushed because he didn't follow through.
Wow.
Right? So that went on for years. As you can imagine, it was absolutely devastating. I felt rejected, right? Like really very much like I got rejected by my mom. At least that's how I felt. And I felt abandoned. I felt like nobody cares in this world about me. And definitely not about my emotions. And that's why I really left Germany and got myself into UC Berkeley and studied psychology, studied attachment styles, and really, to understand like how the dynamic I had with my parents so, really correlating to the dynamic I have with men, right? And that's like where the first breakthroughs happened for me, really, where I saw like connections. And then I got myself in lots of workshops and seminars and spent tens of thousands of dollars. And just really read everything I could get my hands on, right? Like people always give me names of coaches. I'm like, chances are I've been through the program too. And the funny part was, Lucy, that I actually helped women, like some of the ones who were watching this right now to find the right partner. I went to weddings. I was the maid of honor. And so I knew I had figured something out. There was like a system, a formula that worked for everybody else, but it wasn't working for me. And I think that's when I was really humbled on my knees and was like, okay, wow, I'm just like all those other really successful business women who are just not even acknowledging that they need help, that they can't figure it out themselves, right? And I was just be fed up, right? I was just fed up and hired a one-on-one mentor for myself because I couldn't imagine another day going through that kind of motion and knowing I can't get out of it. And so I learned, to be vulnerable without looking weak. Because my missing link and my blind spot for so many of the women is, looking weak. Because weak means being taken advantage of, right? Or setting boundaries and trusting myself that saying no, a heartfelt no, is the right thing to do for me right now, right? And brings me back into my equilibrium. And just a couple of months later, I met my husband, Brody. And, because I became so congruent and into my equilibrium, and it was very clear, he told me the first night that we met that I'm the girl of his story.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So can you tell us a little bit on how you differentiate yourself from other dating coaches or other experts who are helping individuals?
Yeah, so one thing I would really say is, my husband and I work a lot on polarity. Like he works with the men, I work with the women. And our goal is really to create a world of power couples, right? Where the men own their masculinity and are consciously in that. And the women trust their femininity, right? Their conscious femininity, right? So that's really unique about us, because my husband's been working with men for almost 12 years and had his masculinity university and helps men with confidence and social skills, right, and approach anxiety. So we have like this one-stop shop where it's not just like the woman has to change, has to become more vulnerable, but no, we're also saying the man also have the room, right, to do their work. Because I always hear from women, well, why do we all have to do the work, right? So we're saying you don't have to. It's really all about partnership, right? Which means like, partnership is like both parties have a part in that, right? It's not just one person has a part in that, right? So it's very unique in that sense that, my husband gets to give advice to the women in the program and gives them really, the masculine perspective. How do men want to be treated? How do they want to feel empowered? Because you can set a boundaries, but at the same time empower the man versus emasculating him, which pushes them away, right? So that's what the strong masculine women do. They say, well, I set my boundaries, right? Yeah, now how's that going for you, right? The man is like running the opposite direction because he feels, I don't have a place in this world, right? And then I also get to help the men, and as a response to me helping the men, I also learn more and more about the men and get to empower the women that come to us and say, you might have met those emotionally unavailable men. However, I'm working with very emotionally available men. They're out there. They have a heart. They have a soul. They want this relationship just like you.
Wow. And that gives a lot of hope, because it's not, you have the ability to have your husband work with the males and you work with the females. And so you actually see that there are men out there that are looking for having a long-term lasting relationship with a powerful woman, and still allowing himself to be his masculine self, and then you teaching her how to be her feminine self, but also really removing these blind spots that she's having. So can you tell us one of your favorite success stories from one of your clients?
Oh my gosh. Let me think which one is my favorite. I have so many. One of my favorite stories is a client of mine who had 4 years ago. And when she came to me, she was, beautiful, successful, the typical women entrepreneur, right? Really accomplished. But the man she was attracting was just really shocking me. I was really dumbfounded, right? But again, the incongruence inside of herself, right? The emotional incongruence was directly reflected in her attracting frat boys, or at least guys in their 30s who acted like frat boys, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
And were very feminine because she was very in her masculine. She's very structured and she was leading the pack, if you will, right? And so she started working with me, and we really got her like connected to her emotions and really get to connect with everything, her anger, her sadness. I mean, so many women are afraid of their anger, or it's like not appropriate or whatever. I don't know what happens once I go into it, right? So we got to connect her with all of those emotions. And, so she became like much more congruent inside of herself. And I actually ended up introducing her to her husband just a couple of weeks later, right?
Wow.
So, and he said he was really waiting for the queen. So it wasn't just about the introduction, but it's also about her being the queen, right? And really asking for what she wants, but really in a honoring way still also for a man, so that the man, a king, feels like he has a place next to her, right? So, they got married, they did a beautiful honeymoon. So that's definitely one of my favorite success stories, because they're a power couple. They build a huge business together. They're making a huge difference in the world, right? So that's really what I'm like so passionate about this for, because that's what so many women really want when they come to. They want to have that other half who helps them, who's on a team with them to make that big difference in the world.
Oh, yeah, and that's really important, is to make the big difference in the world. And as women are becoming more and more on the forefront of becoming entrepreneurs, and we're being set up to start owning 2/3 of the world's wealth.
Right.
So a lot of the things that we have learned are not working in our relationships, but they work good in the business. And, as a single woman entrepreneur, what would be the one thing that you wish these women, these successful women, would know, and why do you feel that they should know this one thing?
I mean, I wish they would know that they're safe in connecting, that they're safe in being vulnerable, that vulnerability is actually their power, that would actually accelerate everything they want to manifest, and it would make things so much easier. It would be so much more with ease, like no hard work. I would love for them to know that, and to really embrace that and to own that. Because so many women have heard about it, but they're not necessarily owning it. They're just still kind of projecting the responsibility out to somebody else, or saying, oh, it works for her, but, it wouldn't really work for me because, fill in the blank, right? But really that the vulnerability is their gift. And that means being in their awkwardness, feeling, just really feeling connected to what they're present to, their embarrassment, their shame, their sadness, whatever comes up, that when they're connected to all of that, like everything they want, they will just magnetize to them.
Wow. Well, that's really, really important to be connected to what they want, and to be connected to their emotions and their feelings, so that they can really be authentic with themselves and true with themselves, and really dive in so that they actually know what their feelings are.
Yes. And to embrace that. I mean, we all have all emotions inside of us. There's nobody who's like, I'm just an angel and I am always happy, or I'm always grateful, right? To just like, the shadow, right? There's books been written about shadow. To really allow the shadow to embrace that and say, yes, I am a bitch. Or yes, I'm, whatever people like accuse them of, or what they're afraid of being accused, to own that and to say, yes, I am selfish or self-centered or whatever, right? And then watch the world around them just like transform, because everybody will be like, what? She's not defensive around us anymore. She's not like there's no buttons to push, but she's just like, yes, that is me, right? So that's really what I wish for them, to really know in their bodies that that's so safe. It's so safe. That's the safest thing they can do.
Wow. Wow, that's one of the most important things to do. And we're ready to wrap up. And I wanted to know, do you have a free gift for our women entrepreneurs that might be looking for the right man? And how do they get a hold of that gift?
Yes. So for the women who really resonate with what I just shared about, or just really feel intrigued and want to learn more, right? I really designed my Find the Right Man Discovery Call, which is a 1 hour long phone call where we talk about what are your dreams, and not just like your kind of average dreams, but we dream big. What's your biggest outcome you want? And really feel that and go into the blocks and challenges that are stopping you from attracting that. Because I know so many out there are so frustrated because it hasn't happened already, right? So what is that pattern that you're running over and over again? So we really break through those blind spots right there and then, and really create a map for you that is repetitive, that's like, that just works, right? It's a formula, it's a system that just works, right? So if that's really ringing true to you, if you feel it in your heart, in your womb, if that connects with you, then go to my website, howtofindtherightman.com, howtofindtherightman.com, and schedule your call right there.
Wow. Antia, that is absolutely amazing. So you're going to give a complimentary 1 hour Discover session with these women and so that they can find out what you offer, and so they can find out really what their biggest dream is. Yes. To see how they can move forward and then be able to really start finding the right partner for themselves.
Exactly. And maybe even have by New Year's, have already the partner give you that New Year's kiss that you're hoping for, right? That's what I really wish for you, because it doesn't have to take that long.
Wow. That's quick. That's very quick. So, Antia, thank you for being on the Wealthy Wednesday show. Is there any last tips you would like to leave our audience with before we wrap up?
If I would say one thing, it's really about stop judging yourself. And instead of judging, become curious. So replace judgment with curiosity. Watch your life transform.
That is a fabulous tip, is replacing judgment with curiosity. That's a good one. That's definitely a good one. So thank you, Antia, for being on the Wealthy Wednesday show. I am so excited that you have given the tips and the strategies for, what are the blind spots for successful women, how to deal with the polarity when it comes to dating, and, what your story was and how you became so passionate about really empowering women to find the love of their life.
Absolutely. Dreams do come true.
Yes, they do. They do. Well, thank you so kindly. And I want to thank my audience. I want to thank you for listening to another episode of the Wealthy Wednesday show. I would love it if you would go to our Facebook at facebook.com/Wealthy Wednesday show. Like our Facebook page, leave your comments. Let me know, what did you like about this show? And are there any topics that you would like me to have on future shows? So until next time, abundant blessings.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Wednesday show with Luci McMonagle. That's on every Wednesday. Join us next time for more inspiration and empowerment from various topics and expert guests. To personally contact Luci McMonagle, visit LuciMcMonagle.com. That's LuciMcMonagle.com. Until next time, many blessings.